Okay, as promised, I said I was going to do a video to help go over the review since we might have a cold day or virtual day, and it seems like that's the case. So, you can love all my natural lighting in my house, and I'm glad you guys are visiting me in my virtual house in my guest bedroom because this is the closest any of you are ever going to get to my house. But uh, let's try to get this in one video, but I might make two videos. The second one might be a little shorter, but this is going to be the review for the test. Okay, so I would watch this a couple times. Should be on Tuesday. When you're looking at the lesson plan, this will be linked in there. Okay, lovely. Hopefully you're here. So the first thing we're going to go over is cellular respiration, and I want to see if you guys can pause this video right now and try to think to yourselves, what is the equation for cellular respiration? What is the equation for cellular respiration? Right now is a wonderful time to stop because I'm about to put the answer on the board. Okay, so cellular respiration, what's the equation? Stop, see if you can figure it out. Okay, I'm assuming you kept going. So now I'm here and then I'm going to give it to you. Okay, the answer. So, this is actually a tricky answer because there's actually three correct answers. Okay, you have to remember that there is aerobic respiration, which is with air, more specifically O2. And then there's anaerobic respiration, and there's two types that we studied in class. So we have to go over all three equations, okay, just to be safe. So the one I'm naturally doing right now, as I'm breathing and taking in my oxygen, well, that's one of the things that's in the equation. So I'm going to say 6 oxygens, 6 O2s, okay? And then I also eat sugar. We always eat sugar. We always consume sugar, break it down during cellular respiration. So I'm going to do C6H12O6. And what does that make? Well, it makes two things that you exhale. CO2 is one of them. Water is another. That's why you fog up glass when you breathe on it. And the third thing that you can never, ever, ever forget is ATP. It makes a lot of ATP. So I put in all caps, ATP. Okay? Makes a ton of energy when you do aerobic respiration. Okay? So breathe in sugar, eat sugar, breathe in oxygen, exhale CO2, exhale water, make ATP. Okay? That's the stuff that we've been pretty concrete about, and we kept using this equation, and we also flipped it around. That's a little hint about what else we'll be covering. But then we also threw in this anaerobic respiration, and that is without O2 or oxygen. Okay? And there's two creatures that we studied in class about anaerobic respiration, or studying anaerobic respiration. One of them was us, which is human. The other creature we also studied was yeast. Okay, so these are the main two that you need to know about, at least to some degree. So when we were studying human anaerobic respiration, what we were trying to do is eliminate oxygen. Okay, eliminate oxygen. So if you're not getting enough oxygen, then you're going to do anaerobic respiration. Okay, and as always, with any type of respiration, you're going to need glucose. So that means this equation is going to have C6H12O6. And the question is, what does it make? It makes two things, okay? One substance and one energy form, okay? So what's the substance that it makes? Well, it makes two lactic acid, C3H6O3, okay? It makes two lactic acids, which is what's causing the burning sensation within your legs, within your arms, within your pectoral muscles, whichever muscle you're using is not getting enough oxygen. You're producing lactic acid, okay? And the whole point of doing cellular respiration is always to produce energy. So we are producing ATP at the very end, but I'm going to put it in lowercase. Lowercase a, lowercase t, lowercase p, okay? Only a little amount of energy, okay? So we don't want to use anaerobic respiration because cellular respiration, specifically aerobic respiration, produces a ton of energy versus anaerobic just makes a little, okay? So we don't want to be using this. The question is, how is yeast different? Well, yeast does take in, again, sugar, C6H12O6, but it makes three things, okay, a little different from humans. One thing it makes is it still makes a little bit of CO2. It makes two CO2s. It makes what I like to call goofy juice, a type of alcohol. Okay, it's called ethanol. So it makes 2C2H6Os. Okay, and that's ethanol. That's a type of alcohol. And last thing it makes is just a little ATP at the very end, still producing energy, just a little bit. So lowercase a, lowercase t, lowercase p. Okay. Cellular respiration. There's three answers, but you got to know these three. Okay. Human versus yeast when you're not breathing oxygen. So like if I'm holding my breath or if I'm exercising, not getting enough oxygen, I'm going to use anaerobic. But if I am getting enough oxygen, I will be doing normal cellular respiration to make a ton of energy normal. Okay. So these are the three equations that you do have to study. And I would recommend knowing the products. Okay. That is super useful. I hope that makes sense so far. Okay, great. I don't hear any feedback. I'm assuming no feedback means we're doing good. Okay. So I'm going to erase this real quick. I'm going to erase a little bit of this. So I'm going to keep one equation, which is our aerobic respiration. And next thing we're going to look at to compare cellular respiration to is almost the antithesis, the opposite, okay? Almost the villain to this hero. Cellular respiration, the opposite of it is photosynthesis. Synthesis. I don't know why I made that all caps. I got aggressive about it, but now I like it. Even though it's not censored. Gotta love it. Okay? So, photosynthesis, how is it different from aerobic cellular respiration? The reason I kept this equation, hopefully you know the hint to what the equation for photosynthesis is. I'm going to give you a moment. What's the two things we have to change from this equation? Stop. Figure it out. And you're back. Okay. So what are the two things you got to change? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the arrow around. Okay. So for photosynthesis, I'm going to take essentially this arrow. I'm going to flip everything. So I'm going to flip everything around. Okay. So I'm going to put the 6 CO2 because that's what plants breathe, and they also take up 6 waters through their roots. But plants don't take in ATP. What they do is they take in another form of energy, which is called sunlight. And you need sunlight for photosynthesis. Sunlight. And now what they make at the very end, oxygen, and they make glucose, C6H12O6. Okay? So it's the exact opposite. Essentially, you have to just flip the arrow and change ATP to sunlight. Easy peasy, in my opinion. Okay? But here's a question for you that I would expect you guys to know a little bit about the ins and outs. You did a lab about cellular energy with cellular respiration, photosynthesis, whichever you studied. Okay? But here's a question for you guys. I'm going to apply it to photosynthesis. I'm going to see if you guys can answer. I'm going to try to pause so you can answer. And you can pause the video, try to think, and then I'll give you the answer. Okay? So here's my question for you. Photosynthesis. Okay? Photosynthesis, you're making sugar, you're making oxygen. Okay? Out of CO2, water, sunlight. My question for you is, what happens if I increase, if the plant I'm studying, if I give it more sunlight, what do you think will happen to the oxygen level? What do you think is going to happen to the sugar level? Is it going to go up? Going to go down? Pause. Pause. Unpause. Okay, great. If you increase the amount of sunlight, what's going to happen is O2 is going to go up, and so is sugar. Okay? So if you increase sunlight, O2 is going to go up, or sugar will go up. Now the question is, what will happen instead of increasing sunlight? What if I increase like water? What will happen to O2? What will happen to sugar? Pause. Pause. Unpause. Okay. Again, if you increase something on the left side, these are called your reactants. If you increase any of your reactants, you're going to inherently, that was really bad. You're going to inherently increase your products. So that means I'm going to increase O2 and increase sugar again, okay? So if you increase any of the things you're starting with, you're probably going to make more of these. Okay, and that's actually a concept you're going to go into in chemistry. Okay, it's called limiting reactant, super cool, get you hyped. Chemistry's awesome. Okay, this is all chemistry essentially. So cellular respiration versus photosynthesis, they're essentially just swapped equations of each other. Okay, if you increase anything that you start with, you're going to increase the amount of stuff you're going to make. Okay, it's like if I gave you more building blocks and asked you to make more stuff. Well, obviously you can make more stuff now because I gave you more building blocks, Lincoln blocks, Legos, whatever it may be. Okay, the more I give you, the more you should be able to make. Same thing with this. Okay, I hope that makes sense so far. Great. Okay. I can feel your confidence just coming out of your Chromebook. Okay. While you're like looking at your phone, maybe TikTok. Maybe you're watching a Mr. Beast video, or maybe you're not watching this at all. Okay. Some people are just missing out, and then they're gonna ask me to do retakes and corrections later, and then I will cry. But that's what teachers do. They cry for their students because we care. Oh, good grief. What do I want to cover next? Well, this is an 11-minute video so far. Okay. I want to cover real quick matter versus energy. Okay. So, what's the difference between matter? What's the difference between matter and energy? Okay. Matter is, for lack of a better term, if you also study from your model is super useful. For lack of a better term, matter is stuff. Okay. I matter. This wall's matter. This whiteboard's matter. This computer is matter. Okay. This light. Oh, that's a light fixture. That's a light bulb. That's matter. Okay. Anything that essentially has mass or made of elements is matter. So, for example, if you ever see a compound with a letter in it like C or O or H, see any of those, it must be made of matter. Like C6, H12, O6, well, that's matter. CO2, that's matter. O2, H2O, I can keep on going. All these things are made out of matter. Okay? So what's energy? Okay? Energy is the ability to do work. Okay? There's many different types of energy we talked about. We talked about thermal. Okay? Thermal energy is like the equivalent of heat, how hot or how cold something is. We talked about potential energy. That's whether something's about to fall off a ledge, or I like to call tension. Like if I put tension in a rubber band right before I release it, okay, that's potential energy. Kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is all about movement. And we've been talking about chemical energy. And that's essentially the kind of energy we're finding in food, okay? Or in ATP, okay? ATP. So how do these connect, okay? Matter and energy. Matter is made of stuff, okay? So for example, not's going to be the best drawing. I'm going to admit that right now, okay? But let's say Mr. BB, he eats his burger. Let's do two burgers on there. Let's do two burgers because he's hungry, okay? So burger, burger is made out of elements, okay? Burger is made of matter. But when you eat this burger, when you eat this matter, what are you getting out of it? Okay? What's in it that you need? Nutrients? Food? What is food? Well, food is a type of matter. It's made out of matter, but it also contains energy. Specifically in the form of chemical energy from our food. And the reason we eat food is so we can break it down, break that sugar down to get ATP from it, so we can power our bodies using ATP, okay? Matter and energy. So I'm trying to wrap this up with photosynthesis, cellular respiration, matter, energy. I'm going to try to make one last short video to cover the rest. Hopefully I can make it short. But if you made it through this part, awesome. I'd recommend putting the YouTube video to 1.25 speed. I talk a little slow. can. I'll see you guys in a bit. Hopefully you stay around for part 2.